as we chatted about there just at the beginning, being technically good is really important, I think. And like anything, I've always been fascinated with the idea of expertise and mastery, and it takes time, and it takes a lot of work, and it takes a lot of deliberate practice, and a lot of reflective practice, and a lot of focused development. So I think that's the first thing. So where are some of the places that we would want to direct our attention to? I think as PTs, it's absolutely important to lay a really strong foundation of the fundamentals: anatomy, physiology, exercise physiology, the pathology, and biomechanics, and make sure that we're really good on those things. What I often see when because I also teach in the university and postgraduate courses and other courses, and when I'm doing viva or practical exams and we're talking about clinical reasoning, where people tend to fall down is that their fundamental basic science isn't good enough. Because I've always said, if I understand those things really well, then I can reason my way out of most of the problems that I encounter clinically to be technically really good. And so you can't build all the other stuff on top of it, something that's got a shaky foundation. And so what tends to happen is that people will see particular treatment approaches, or they may see some things that are perhaps relatively fashionable in terms of treatment approaches around specific areas, in and of themselves are often very good. But when people then focus on that, when they're not based upon good, solid foundations, when something a little bit different or more challenging comes in, then for me, that's usually when challenges start to happen. And, I've said for a long time, and it tends to get quoted a bit, is that, rehab is training in the presence of injury. So if you don't understand the training principles, then I don't think you can rehab someone. But if I also don't understand the injury, pathology, the tissue type, how this tissue responds to specific types of loading, how I can modify that load over time, what the time course of that is, how the biomechanics of their sport relates to that injury, to the impairment, then it's going to be really hard to be technically really good. And so it's a very long-winded answer, Mariana. But for me, you've got to understand the body, you've got to understand the injury, you've got to understand training, understand biomechanics, you've got to really understand your sport, and you've got to understand people. And if you like, then not to get into the non-technical, I would suggest they are technical skills, the ability to connect with your players and your athletes, your patients, and to put all that together with good clinical reasoning is key. So I think if you get that bit right, then actually the rest of the stuff very much follows on from there.